You might be wondering if it's really that simple. Just sitting quietly, doing nothing, and your sleep improves. The answer is yes, but only if you approach stillness the right way. Not as a trick, not as a temporary fix, but as a ritual. Stillness isn't something you try, it's something you return to. A place inside you that's been waiting, often for decades, for you to notice it again. And like any place worth visiting, it feels unfamiliar at first. The first few times you sit down, your mind will resist. It will offer distractions. It will itch for the television remote, for the phone screen, for a list of tasks. It will tell you there's something you should be doing, that you're wasting time. But if you stay in your breathing through that discomfort without judgment, something extraordinary begins to unfold. Your heart rate, which may have been racing all day without you realizing it, begins to slow. Your breathing deepens. The muscles in your neck, your back, your chest. It's not instant, it's not magic, but it is biological. Scientists call it parasympathetic activation, the body's natural healing mode. It's the same deep primal shift that newborns feel when they are rocked in their mother's arms. It's the feeling that every living being needs, no matter their age. Safety, surrender, softness. And it turns out, our bodies never forget how to access that state. They just need permission. My grandmother's first week of practicing stillness wasn't smooth. She fidgeted, she sighed, she kept asking, "Is it working?" And every time, we would gently remind her, stillness isn't about achieving anything. It's about being, about allowing. By the fifth night, something inside her understood. She didn't ask for instructions anymore. She simply sat. She let her body do what it had been yearning to do for years. Unwind. Within 2 weeks, she wasn't just sleeping better. She was living better. Her mornings were lighter. Her memory was sharper. Her laughter came easier. Even her skin looked healthier, as if her body was finally receiving the deep repair it had been begging for. Stillness, real stillness, is a message to every cell in your body. Stand down, the fight is over. And the beauty of it is that you don't need to be good at it. You just need to show up. Every evening at roughly the same time, in roughly the same place. You don't need perfect silence. You don't need to empty your mind. You just need to offer your body 15 minutes of non-doing. And if you do, night after night, you'll notice the shift. It's subtle at first. Maybe you'll realize you're less edgy during the day. Maybe you'll find yourself smiling at small things again. A bird on the windowsill, the warmth of a cup of tea. Maybe you'll start waking up feeling a little more rested, a little more rooted. And then, almost without realizing it, you'll remember what deep, nourishing sleep feels like. The kind that cradles you instead of abandoning you. A kind that restores more than just your energy. It restores your spirit. If you struggle with a restless mind during stillness, know that this is normal. The mind is like a snow globe shaken all day long. When you sit in stillness, all the swirling thoughts come into view. They're not a sign you're doing it wrong. They're a sign you're finally seeing what's been there all along. Let them swirl. Let them settle. You don't need to push them away. Just breathe. Just be. Over time, the water clears, and with it, so does your mind. There's another secret most people don't realize about stillness. It doesn't just fix sleep. It protects your memory, your mood, your longevity. Research shows that seniors who engage in daily quiet reflection or mindful rest have lower rates of dementia, lower blood pressure, and even longer lifespans. Because stillness isn't passive. It's deeply biologically active. It's the time when your brain clears out waste, repairs damaged cells, and rewires itself for resilience. Every minute you spend in true rest is an investment in decades of vitality to come. Stillness also restores something harder to measure, but even more precious: dignity. So often, aging feels like a slow giving away of independence, a slow surrender to medications, procedures, appointments. Stillness reminds you that not everything is slipping through your fingers. Some power, the most important power, remains fully yours. The power to choose presence, to choose peace, to choose to nurture yourself from within. When Mr. Howard, the retired electrician, began his 15 minutes of stillness, he wasn't looking for miracles. He just wanted one night of sleep without waking up 4 times. What he got instead was a slow but steady rebuilding of the man he had been. Patient, strong, curious, joyful. Stillness didn't give him back his youth. It gave him something better. It gave him ownership over his evenings, his mind, his dream. And here's the final beautiful truth. Stillness costs nothing. It doesn't require perfect health. It doesn't depend on income, location, or even physical mobility. Whether you're in a city apartment or a country farmhouse, whether you sit in a plush armchair or on the edge of your bed, stillness is available. It asks nothing of you but willingness. And in return, it offers you everything. So tonight, when the news blurs bad headlines, when your to-do list hums in your mind, when your hands reach reflexively for the remote or the phone, stop. Sit down, turn inward, gift yourself 15 minutes of nothing. Watch what happens. You are not broken because you struggle to sleep. You are not doomed to restless nights. Your body remembers how to heal. Your mind remembers how to rest. You just have to create space for it. Stillness isn't something you achieve. It's something you return to, like breath, like memory, like home. And if no one else has told you lately, let me say it clearly. You deserve rest. You deserve peace. You deserve nights that don't just pass, but nourish. Your journey has earned that. Your wisdom demands that. And your future, vibrant, clear, and full of life, depends on that. Tonight, before the noise pulls you back into its endless current, step off the riverbank, sit in stillness, reclaim your nights, reclaim yourself, and when you do, when you give yourself that small sacred gift, you won't just sleep better, you'll live better. You'll rise stronger. You'll remember who you've always been, resilient, wise, and beautifully alive. Thank you for being here. If this reflection touched something inside you, if you're ready to honor your evenings with quiet strength, like this video, subscribe for more stories and strategies drawn from real elderly wisdom. And before you go, leave a comment. What's one thing you're willing to change in your nighttime routine starting tonight? Let's inspire each other, because the path to better rest is not lonely. It's one we walk together, in stillness, in strength, and in hope. Stillness sounds simple, right? But for so many seniors, doing nothing is the hardest thing in the world, especially in a world that never stops talking. And if you've spent a lifetime solving problems, raising kids, working long hours, fixing the house, supporting others, then silence doesn't feel restful. It feels like something's missing. But what if that silence is actually the key to resetting your brain, healing your body, and reclaiming the peace that aging so often steals? Well, let's go back to my grandmother. After 2 weeks of her nightly stillness routine, the changes were undeniable. Her sleep improved, yes, but something else surprised all of us. Her mornings were different. She wasn't dragging herself to the kitchen for coffee anymore. She was humming again, watering her plants, calling friends she hadn't spoken to in months. She even started planning a short trip to a botanical garden, something she hadn't done in years. Stillness, as it turned out, didn't make her less active. It gave her the fuel to be more alive. And this isn't just her story. It's a pattern, a real documented pattern. A study published in the journal Sleep Health found that adults over 65 who engaged in just 10 to 20 minutes of non-stimulating quiet time before bed reported not only falling asleep faster, but staying asleep longer. But here's what really caught my attention. Those same adults also reported lower levels of anxiety and even better digestion. That's right, doing nothing helped them sleep deeper, feel calmer, and even help their bodies function more naturally. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Your brain, your heart, your gut. So let's talk about why stillness is so powerful and how you can introduce it into your life. Even if your mind races or your home isn't always quiet, first understand this. Stillness isn't about forcing your brain to go blank. It's not about sitting cross-legged and chanting mantras. Unless you want to, stillness is gentler. It's simply about removing input. When you turn off the TV, put down the phone, stop flipping through endless noise, your brain begins to defragment, like an old computer clearing space. All those unprocessed emotions, old worries, scattered thoughts, they stop bouncing around. Not because you pushed them away, but because you gave them space to breathe. The evening, I sat with my grandma during her quiet time. No words, just soft lamplight and the faint rustling of trees outside. After about 12 minutes, she whispered, almost in awe, "I think I was holding in too much. My chest feels lighter." That moment stuck with me, because that's what stillness does. It doesn't just rest the body. It opens the emotional valve. It's the pause before the healing. Now, I know real life isn't always peaceful. Maybe you live in a noisy apartment building. Maybe your spouse insists on watching late-night sports with the volume cranked up. Maybe your own mind feels like the loudest room in the house. But here's the beautiful truth. You can still find your pocket of stillness. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Pick the same time every day, ideally 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. Your body craves rhythm, even if your mind resists it. My grandma does her stillness at 7:30 sharp. Mr. Howard, remember him? He sits down at 8:45 after his nightly cup of tea. Pick the same place, a chair by a window, a cozy corner. Even your bathroom with the lights dimmed and the fan humming softly. Consistency matters more than silence. Turn off stimulation. That means screens, talking, books, even music unless it's something soft and non-distracting. This isn't about feeding your brain something new. It's about letting it digest what's already there. Let your mind wander gently. If you find yourself thinking about errands or replaying old memories, that's okay. Don't fight it. Just don't chase the thoughts. Let them drift by like clouds in a quiet sky and stay for 15 minutes. Set a soft timer if you need to. Something that won't jolt you back into alertness. Wind chimes, a gentle bell. You're not timing an exam. You're inviting a ceremony. And now here's what usually happens. The first few days, your mind resists. You feel bored or restless or like you're wasting time. That's not failure, that's detox. That's your nervous system used to being constantly flooded with input, starting to realize there's another way. Stick with it. Day by day, the noise softens. Your breath deepens, and before you know it, you begin to crave that quiet, the way you once craved distraction. Stillness doesn't have to mean sitting frozen in a chair. Some people ease into it with gentle movement. A rocking chair, a slow sway standing by an open window. One viewer from Michigan told us she does her nightly stillness while watching the branches sway in the evening breeze. Another gentleman from Sweden said he finds his quiet in a warm bath, eyes closed, no noise, just the soft ripple of water. The point isn't how you do it. It's that you do it without stimulation, without judgment, without expectation. The science backs this up. In 2022, researchers at the University of Toronto published a study in the Journal of Geriatric Psychology. They found that older adults who practiced daily rest-based wakefulness for just 3 weeks showed increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for memory, attention, decision-making. Stillness wasn't just helping them sleep. It was preserving their cognitive strength. It was safeguarding their independence. Think about that. In a world that keeps telling seniors to do more, take classes, do puzzles, stay busy, maybe the real secret isn't more activity. Maybe it's more space. Maybe what our brains are starving for isn't stimulation, but sanctuary. Stillness gave that to my grandmother. It gave it to Mr. Howard, and it can give it to you too. And the effects go even further. After 2 months of her nightly quiet practice, my grandmother's doctor reduced her blood pressure medication. Her memory test scores, the same ones that once made her nervous, improved by 15%. And the most beautiful change, she started dreaming again. Deep, vivid dreams she hadn't had in years. Because true healing sleep, the kind where your mind restores itself, only comes when your brain feels truly safe. Stillness made her safe. Stillness isn't just about sleeping better. It's about living better, thinking clearer, loving deeper, and yes, connecting more strongly with the people you cherish. Every Sunday now, my grandma and I sit together in stillness for 15 minutes. No phones, no distractions, no words, just breathing, just being. And somehow those silent moments have made us closer than any conversation ever did. Because stillness invites truth, stillness invites presence. And in that sacred space, walls fall, healing begins. I know this habit sounds almost too small to matter, but that's the magic of it. You don't need fancy apps. You don't need expensive supplements. You don't need perfect circumstances. All you need is willingness. 15 minutes a day, 7 days. That's your starting line. And when you do it, when you step away from the noise and back into yourself, you're not just reclaiming your nights, you're reclaiming your life. Stillness doesn't ask you to be perfect, it asks you to be present. It doesn't demand silence from the world, it invites quiet inside yourself. It doesn't erase all worries, it teaches you how to breathe through them. So tonight, and tomorrow night, and the night after that, carve out your little sanctuary. Sit in your chair, close your eyes or keep them soft. Let the day fall away. Let your breath remind you that you are still here, still strong, still worthy of peace. Because you are. You have earned every good night's sleep that stillness can bring you. You have earned mornings full of lightness, laughter, and purpose. And the most beautiful part? You don't have to fight for it. You just have to sit, to be, to trust the quiet. Stillness is not nothing. Stillness is everything. If this message spoke to you, if you're ready to welcome a little more peace into your evenings, like this video, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell us, what's one small thing you'll do to create stillness in your life starting tonight? Your story might just inspire someone else to find their own quiet and their own healing. Thank you for being here. You're stronger than you know, and the best part of your journey might just begin in silence. If you're still here, it means a part of you understands. Deep down, that stillness isn't just a habit. It's a message, a quiet reminder that even in a world that praises constant motion, pause has power. And now, let's look at the final ripple of this simple daily practice. How just 15 minutes of stillness each day doesn't just change sleep or memory, but changes how you show up in the world, especially after 65. For my grandma, it all started with her mornings. She wasn't waking up tired and irritable anymore. Instead, she had something she hadn't felt in years: clarity. Her thoughts weren't rushing in all at once like a flood. She could pause, breathe, and begin her day fully present. And that presence became the foundation for something even bigger. Choice. She started choosing to go for a walk instead of sitting with the television on. She began answering calls from old friends instead of letting them go to voicemail. Once a week, she even wrote down a quote she liked, something that made her think. That's when it hit me. Her stillness wasn't just about rest. It was leading her back to wisdom. It's no accident that our elders, the ones we seek out for advice, are often the quietest people in the room. Silence and clarity walk hand in hand. And for seniors who practice stillness daily, that quiet isn't emptiness. It's awareness. Awareness of the small joys again. The warmth of a coffee mug, the way morning light dances across the curtains, the simple, powerful weight of your own breath. And for some, like Mr. Howard, stillness becomes a gateway to something even deeper. Healing. One evening, he told me something I'll never forget. He said, "I lost my wife 5 years ago, and I never cried for her. I just kept moving, kept fixing things. Then one night during my stillness, I just sat there, and it felt like her hand was on mine. Not really, but it was like she was there. And I wept. I didn't even know I needed to." Stillness gave him space for grief, but also for grace. And he wasn't the only one. We've heard from hundreds of seniors across North America, Europe, and beyond who've embraced this practice. A 72-year-old woman in Florence told us she used to fall asleep with the TV blaring just to drown out her own thoughts. After 2 weeks of stillness, she now falls asleep to silence and wakes up feeling refreshed. A man from Toronto, 67 years old, said stillness helped him manage his blood sugar levels because for the first time in years he was sleeping through the night. No more 2 a.m. stress spikes. And perhaps the most powerful testimonial came from a retired nurse in Oregon who said, "Stillness taught me to stop reacting to everything. I used to panic over every ache, every headline. Now I breathe, I observe. I respond slower but smart." Let me say this as clearly as I can. Stillness builds resilience. It gives you back control, not by forcing your body to do more, but by teaching it how to do less. Seniors who embrace this aren't just sleeping better, they're thinking clearer, feeling calmer, connecting deeper. Their relationships improve because they're no longer trapped in the noise of mental clutter. They listen better, they laugh more, they feel more grounded in themselves and in the world around them. Now, I promise you full transparency, and here it is. Not everyone finds success on day one. My grandmother struggled through the first week. Mr. Howard nearly gave up after 3 days. But the breakthrough didn't come from doing it perfectly. It came from allowing the silence, allowing the stillness to meet them where they were. You don't need a silent house. You don't need a perfectly calm mind. You don't even need to believe it will work. You just need to show up day after day and trust that stillness knows what to do. Stillness isn't a trend. It's not a productivity hack. It's an ancient wisdom that the modern world forgot. But seniors, you remember. Your body remembers. You were born in a time when mornings were slow, when families sat quietly on porches, when life wasn't measured by pings and alerts and endless breaking news. Stillness is your birthright. It's your homecoming. So now the question is, are you ready to try? 15 minutes. Every evening, same time, same place. No input, no expectation. Just you, sitting, breathing, being. Letting your mind rest without needing to perform or impress or fix anything. You might find that your sleep becomes effortless, that you dream again, that your energy rises without needing another cup of coffee, that your body thanks you in ways medicine never could. And if you do try this, we want to hear from you. Leave a comment, share your journey. What shifted for you? What surprised you? Did your dreams return? Did your days start to feel lighter? We read every single story because your voice might just inspire someone else to take their first step into stillness too. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something my grandma said just last week. She looked at me, smiled softly, and said, "You know what's funny? All my life I thought silence meant loneliness. Now it feels like peace." That's the wisdom of stillness. Not absence, but presence. Not emptiness, but space to feel fully alive. If this video gave you something valuable, a tool, a story, a moment of reflection, tap that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Elderly reflections like this aren't just about health tips. They're about living deeper, stronger, and truer at every age. And one last thing before you go. Tell us where you're watching from. We love seeing how far this community of strength and wisdom is reaching across the world. Here's to stillness, here's to healing, and here's to a deeper, fuller, richer night's sleep. At any age,